Mom, Seraphina has become a murderer. Will you despise Seraphina? Don't bury my ashes beside you. Leave them to be fertilizer for the big tree. Moan. Seraphina misses you so much. If there is an afterlife, please don't leave Seraphina alone again. Okay? My husband's childhood sweetheart and I are both pregnant at the same time. I have severe pregnancy symptoms and vomit so much that I feel dizzy. He thinks I'm being affected by unconventional. Then he arranges a VIP ward for his childhood sweetheart to stay in for pregnancy. When his childhood sweetheart has a miscarriage, my husband asks me to have an abortion, saying he is afraid that his childhood sweetheart will be stimulated when she sees my belly. I wanted divorce, but because he is reluctant to give up the huge inheritance I inherited, he and his childhood sweetheart push me off the top floor. When I open my eyes again, I go back to half a year after my marriage. At this time, there is still 1 month before I inherit a huge inheritance. When I wake up in the guest bedroom, the date on my phone clearly shows April 25. At that moment, I know that I am reborn. In another month, my aunt's lawyer will find me and say that she has left me a huge inheritance. In my previous life, I was having a divorce with Harrison at that time. The reason is also Tiffany. During this period, Tiffany is breaking up with her boyfriend. Harrison lets her live in my house openly, and even allows her to occupy the master bedroom. On the day of helping Tiffany move, he said, "Tiffany is suffering from a broken heart. We have to give in to her." Seeing that I was unhappy, he said, "When the demolition compensation for my family comes down, I will buy you a big house so that you can live in it as much as you want." I had a cold war with him for a long time because of this. He follows Tiffany around every day, and has no time to take care of me. In a fit of anger, I mentioned divorce. Later, there was no hope for their family's demolition, and I got a huge inheritance. Harrison knelt down and begged me. At that time, thinking of his life-saving grace and unable to let go of him, and finally having a family, I didn't want to give up so easily. So I took the opportunity and forgave him. Now thinking about it, I really want to slap myself twice. I can't help but sneer. In my previous life, the demolition was just a rumor in Harrison's family. Soon, their area was excluded from the demolition area. Harrison enjoyed the life of the demolition second generation in advance. The various luxury goods he bought on loan were still filled with my inheritance. I became vigilant. He should have owed a lot by now. I must collect evidence and never let it be counted as joint marital debt when getting a divorce. Till I walk out of the room, there is no one at home. Calculating the time, I should have been in a cold war with Harrison for about a week. At this time, we had just graduated not long ago. The three of us were still working in the same company. I met Harrison through Tiffany's introduction during the company's team building. During the Cold War with me, he went to and from work with Tiffany high profile every day. When he saw me, he looked up his nose and was extremely arrogant. It seems that they have already left. I had breakfast and entered the company's gate on time. Before I could sit down, Tiffany came over in a hurry. "Have you finished writing the plan I assigned to you yesterday? Why haven't you sent it to me yet?" She is very relaxed as a team leader. I write the plan and take the responsibility. She only reports at meetings. I put down my bag and slowly made myself a cup of coffee. Seeing that I didn't speak, Tiffany slapped the table hard. "Nina, if you can't do it, leave. I don't keep idlers under me." I turned on my computer and sent her the draft. After sending Tiffany away, my colleague May came over and said to me, "Nina, I saw Harrison and Tiffany come together this morning. Harrison was even carrying her bag. Didn't Harrison say that your family is going to be demolished? I don't think it's as simple as her staying at your house. You have to be careful." I smiled and pinched her soft and elastic face. Received. "I will kick the scumbag out today." May had an expression of hating iron for not becoming steel. "I'm serious. Don't take it lightly. In my previous life, I really didn't take it seriously. But now, I am 100% sure. I'm serious too. Just as I finished speaking, Harrison came. Nina. What's wrong with you? You wrote such a bad plan. Are you deliberately making Tiffany look bad? This should be the first time Harrison has taken the initiative to talk to me since the Cold War. I suppressed the urge to roll my eyes. If I remember correctly, the group competition plan was originally written by the team leader. She didn't write it herself. Can you blame me? Harrison probably didn't expect that I, who always complied with his requests, would say this. In an instant, his face turned purple. I didn't intend to let him go and continued to say, Harrison, if you are a man, do it yourself. Wash the socks and underwear she throws everywhere. If she likes home-cooked food, make it for her by yourself. Always ordering me around. What kind of man are you? All the colleagues in the company knew about the things between the three of us and had been holding back a belly full of gossip. Today, the main characters are tearing each other apart in person. Everyone secretly leans over here. Harrison is at least an assistant minister. He has never been so embarrassed in public. At this time, his face turns red and then purple. It's extremely wonderful. Nina, don't spread rumors here. It's just that you cooked a few meals and did laundry for a few days. Is it that serious? It is serious. If you want to chase your white moonlight but don't have money to hire an Annie, then do it yourself. I won't accompany you. No one expected that I would be so straightforward in saying this. Harrison was even more astonished. After a long time, he squeezed out a sentence. What did you say? I looked at him with a smile. I said I won't accompany you. We get a divorce. Harrison was like being stepped on his tail and instantly flew into a rage. Don't threaten me. Divorce is divorce. Whoever doesn't divorce is a grandson. I nodded. Yes. Whoever doesn't divorce is a grandson. Harrison was so angry by me that he turned around and left. I shouted after him loudly. Take a leave this afternoon. See you at the Civil Affairs Bureau. He gave me a fiercely glare and walked away quickly. 3. Harrison didn't go to the Civil Affairs Bureau, which is within my expectation. According to municipal regulations, demolition not only has compensation but also population resettlement fees. It's not cost-effective to divorce me before getting Tiffany. In my previous life, there was no such thing. Harrison is determined to get my population resettlement fee first, and then designed to make me leave with nothing. In my previous life, because the demolition thing didn't happen, and I got a large inheritance, Harrison's little calculation ended without result. If you really want to leave, please take me with you. In a trance, I seemed to see my mother leading the young me, happily walking on the tree-lined avenue, getting farther and farther away. The end. In this life, even if I put it this way, Harrison will surely not divorce me easily just to get more compensation. But it doesn't matter. I will take action. I found my colleague May, who is also a second-generation demolition beneficiary. She shared in the cafeteria that her cousin got fake married to cheat on land acquisition compensation. In the end, the cousin and his wife developed real feelings, and are now extremely affectionate. This matter should give Harrison a lot of inspiration. Divorce me first and then get fake married to Tiffany, using getting land acquisition compensation as an excuse. Perhaps it can turn into a real relationship by then, and he can win the beauty. After all, Harrison really loves Tiffany. In my previous life, even though Tiffany was pregnant and abandoned by her rich second-generation husband, Harrison still remained by her side. He brought Tiffany home and asked me, who was also pregnant, to take care of Tiffany. When I had severe pregnancy reactions and was vomiting so much that I was dizzy, he thought I was being pretentious and coldly said, pregnancy is like a terminal illness. If everyone were like you, humans would become extinct. But then, because Tiffany couldn't stand the fishy smell of the greenery in the community, he arranged a VIP ward for her to recuperate during pregnancy. Tiffany had a thin uterine wall and couldn't keep the baby. He brought Tiffany home to rest after miscarriage. Tiffany turned the house upside down and threw her used underwear and socks everywhere. Harrison said to me, "Nina, Tiffany dislikes the dirtiness of the nanny. Wash her underwear and socks for her. Also, she doesn't like the food cooked by the nanny. From now on, you cook for her." Of course, I didn't agree. Then he started moral kidnapping again. "Tiffany has just had a miscarriage and is at her weakest. What's wrong with you washing her underwear? She is our matchmaker and also my best friend. If we don't take care of her, who will?" Later, Tiffany had a thin uterine wall and couldn't keep the baby. Harrison smoked silently all night after coming home. Finally, he said to me, "There will be children in the future. But now Tiffany can't bear any stimulation. You go and have an abortion." At that moment, I was completely awake and decided to divorce. Unfortunately, Harrison didn't give me this chance. They pushed me downstairs from the balcony on a dark and windy night. After I died, Harrison became the tragic hero. He accepted everyone's comfort at my funeral. No one knew that he took my inheritance and got a marriage certificate with Tiffany the next day. I scattered my ashes in a stinky ditch, thinking of my past life experiences. I could barely control my anger. Be patient. Soon, I will be able to get rid of Harrison. Sure enough, the next day, Harrison took the initiative to talk to me about divorce. He asked me to leave the house with nothing. Of course, I didn't agree. When I returned home at night, my things were packed and thrown on the stairs outside the door, scattered everywhere. I knocked on the door once. Harrison said viciously, "This is my house. Didn't you want a divorce? Then get out of here. We have been living here since we got married." Because the house is small, Harrison's parents moved to a self-built house in the suburbs to rent. This old and small house in the old urban area has one household on each floor. But the distance between buildings is small and the sound insulation effect is poor. Standing opposite, you can see the scene inside the house clearly. Therefore, everyone knows what's going on with the neighbors. I shouted loudly, "Neighbors, I haven't divorced my husband yet. He kicked me out and wants to live with another woman. I hope everyone can witness this for me." The neighbors upstairs, downstairs and opposite quickly came to watch the excitement. Auntie upstairs came the fastest. Her children are all abroad. She lives alone here. I always bring her a bowl of delicious food when I make it. She has a good relationship with me. Hearing me speak, she came down in one stride. I said there was a coquetous woman in your house recently. At first sight, she is not a good thing. If you want to sue them for cohabitation, I, an old woman, will be the first to testify for you. Other neighbors also said that they had been fed up with Tiffany for a long time. When they accidentally brushed past her in the stairwell and touched her, she would take out a tissue and wipe again and again, as if there were bacteria on others. If you rush to live in someone else's house and still look gloomy, since you despise us and being neighbors with us is embarrassing, then don't come and live here. Harrison couldn't hold it in and opened the door. Seeing so many people gathered at the door, he asked me with an expression as if he had eaten shit, "What on earth do you want?" I stretched out my hand. "Give me your phone." He glanced at me a few times and didn't move. Auntie said, "You should check his phone. Maybe there is something shameful." Harrison was furious. He had been with Tiffany every day recently and didn't need to flirt on the phone at all. Naturally, he wasn't afraid of being checked. He threw his phone to me. "With so many people watching, let's see what tricks you can play." I quickly opened his various shopping apps and took pictures and saved all the orders. Harrison is a typical otaku and never goes out shopping. Everything is done online. This is convenient for me to collect evidence. After taking pictures and throwing the phone back to him, I didn't look at him again. I just thanked the neighbors. The woman in the room must have been seen by everyone. Thank you all for testifying for me. After the divorce, I will invite everyone to have a meal at the old restaurant. Everyone happily expressed that they were very willing to get rid of a scourge for the people. The next day, when the boss passed by, I handed a divorce agreement to Harrison in front of everyone. Everyone stopped what they were doing, and their eyes shuttled back and forth between me, Harrison, and Tiffany. When the boss learned that Tiffany was now living in my house and I had moved out, he repeatedly said that this kind of immoral behavior should not be encouraged and pressured Harrison to solve this matter within a week. Tiffany is a mistress. Now it's not just private gossip. Everyone is talking about it openly. Harrison was urged by Tiffany to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau with me. In the divorce agreement, I demand equal division of the joint property of the couple. We haven't been married for long. There is no savings. There is only an old and small house and a domestic car worth more than 100 yuan. I said I didn't want the house or the car. I just wanted cash in lieu. Harrison refused, and said that the couple should also jointly bear the debt and took out his loan certificate. I sneered and took out the details of my family expenses borne in the past year. After getting married, Harrison, relying on the fact that the house and car are his family's, didn't contribute a penny for household expenses. Instead, he bought a lot of things for Tiffany. I took out the list of details and uses of various luxury goods he bought with loans. It was clear at a glance that not a penny was spent on our living expenses together, let alone buying things for me alone. Harrison was at a loss for words but still disagreed. A week was about to pass, and the boss personally inquired about the progress of the matter. Harrison had finally managed to reach the position of assistant to the minister and didn't want to lose this job with unparalleled welfare benefits in the country. Tiffany also didn't want to give up the team leader position where she could get paid without working. The two considered the pros and cons and, relying on the fact that there would soon be a large amount of demolition compensation, I arrogantly threw the signed divorce agreement in my face. Really didn't expect you to be such a gold digger. What a pity that you are born with a humble life. In the future, you can't imagine our wealth. In the end, I took 1/3 of the house and car and cashed it out. 6 after the divorce, I applied to be transferred to another group and no longer had any entanglements with them. It's just that Tiffany is really too high profile. From time to time, her gossip reaches my ears. I heard that now she must drink hand-ground coffee. She must appear at a certain famous scenic spot to check in on weekends. She has a lot of cards for various private clubs. The famous brands on her body are never the same every day. And she often says to her colleagues, "Be careful. This outfit of mine costs tens of thousands. Can you afford to pay if you get it dirty?" As a result, the seats around her are now empty, and everyone is unwilling to sit with her anymore. As for Harrison, in order to pay for the property I gotten plus Tiffany's expenses, he probably has borrowed from all possible loan platforms. However, they are not panicked at all. They still order the most expensive takeout and drink the most expensive coffee every day. They also changed to a Mercedes-Benz. Our city is a first-tier big city. Originally, according to the municipal planning, Harrison's family's area was designated as a construction land for the city center, and the estimated compensation for each family is more than a certain amount. The false wealth makes the two of them arrogant and ecstatic. Tiffany is even more slack at work. After coming to the company and having a cup of coffee, she leisurely brushes her phone, either shopping or fiddling with her account. When the leader scolds her, she rolls her eyes sideways. My coming to work here is the company's blessing. In the future, I will not only be an employee but also a major client and major shareholder. Before you come to scold me, don't you look in the mirror? The leader lost his temper several times, but it was all suppressed by the boss. It is estimated that they really talked about some cooperation with the boss. 7 May told me that Tiffany has recently started drinking tea like rich people. After coming to the company, she asks nothing and blatantly occupies the tea table in the leader's office to drink tea. The day I took the resignation application form and asked the leader to sign it, she was sitting at the tea table in the leader's office, pinching a teacup and sipping tea with her eyes narrowed. When she saw me, she sneered. This kind of gold digger is also a black sheep if she stays in the company. Fortunately, General Charles, you are so magnanimous and can still tolerate her. The leader had long been full of resentment towards her. He gave me a wry smile and sighed with a sigh of regret and didn't answer. The day I moved my things out of the company, Tiffany somehow heard the news and deliberately came over to taunt me. See what I said? You were still fired just because of one of my words. Nina. A nerd like you who only knows how to work hard will be eliminated by society sooner or later. I ignored her and walked out of the company quickly. I still have to catch a plane in the afternoon. I am about to go to country R to handle the inheritance transfer procedures. Divid Kia tag Div8 standing under the sky of the motherland again was half a month later. The extra $1 billion in my account made the air I breathed full of the smell of money. In my previous life, I was willing to be the woman behind Harrison. I took out a large amount of money to invest in him and let him start a business. But he was really incompetent. He lost money in every business he did. In the end, he just lay flat at home. In this life, I will seize the opportunity and create my own career. The domestic real estate industry is on the rise. I decide to invest in the local real estate industry and can still make a big profit within 5 years. According to my memory of my previous life, the real estate industry in this city will have a major reform in this year and next. The reason is that the new mayor takes office. He overcomes all objections and turns the city center business district expansion plan to the backward southern district. Harrison's family was also excluded from the demolition area because of this reform. The battle for the southern district completely changed the pattern of the real estate industry in this city. Several leading enterprises that bet on the wrong horse thus fell. I set my sights on LVDA Real Estate, which is in the middle of a family feud. Many people in the group have already started to sell their shares when they see the situation is not good. As long as I get 40 of its shares, I will be the major shareholder with the most say. 9 LVDA is not very large in scale, but it is very famous in the industry. But because there are too many moths in family businesses, internal opinions are not unified, and everyone wants to get a bigger share of the family property. It's very ugly and has been on the local current affairs news several times. As soon as the news that I was buying shares at a price higher than the market price came out, shareholders soon contacted me. Soon I got 42 of the shares and became the largest shareholder of LVDA Group. When I attended the shareholders' meeting for the first time, I proposed to take over the Southern District. The shareholders instantly fell silent. The Southern District is a typical rundown area. Whoever gets involved will be in a mess. Judging from the current perception, seizing the Southern District is indeed not a wise move. I knew this matter couldn't be accomplished in a day, so I didn't say much. After letting the shareholders disperse, I called several core shareholders to hold a meeting. I elaborated on the future development trend of the new urban area to them in detail and told them that the new mayor, Justin, will take office in a few days. As soon as he takes office, he will carry out drastic reforms. Shareholder 1 said, "We are all so well informed. Why have we never heard of a change of mayor?" I smiled faintly and mentioned the scandal that shocked the whole city at that time. The current mayor was removed from office due to crimes such as manipulating the financial market, having a mistress, and conniving at hit and runs. The notice will be issued tomorrow. Ignoring the skeptical eyes of the shareholders, I asked them to go back and wait for the news. Anyway, it will be clear tomorrow. 10 the next day, when I was still in bed, the shareholders bombarded me with phone calls. "It's really amazing. For such a big thing, it's just as you predicted. General, Nina. How do you know these internal news?" The person on the other end of the phone asked excitedly. I rubbed my head that was a bit dazed from sleep and answered as politely as possible. "I have an exclusive news network." "Okay. General, Nina. In the future, I will have no objections to all your proposals." A few days later, a new mayor, Justin, took office and delivered a speech to the citizens of the whole city. Between his words, he revealed more than a little determination for reform. Since then, the core shareholders have looked at me with shining eyes. With their support, it is much easier to purchase the land in the Southern District. The group has specially established a new urban area preparation department, and various tasks have been carried out in an orderly manner. 11 in this life. Due to my intervention, the preparation work for the new urban area has been advanced. After all, LVDA is a listed group with strong strength. With the group's appearance, it is very difficult for this matter not to succeed. I am waiting outside the mayor's office with a detailed planning scheme in person. Justin is a good official who truly does practical things for the common people, and is rarely seen in decades. In the previous life, it took him a lot of trouble to persuade he and Li, the opponent of LVDA Group, to intervene in investment for the development of the Southern District. Almost all real estate groups took a wait-and-see attitude. At best, some even avoided it. After all, who would be willing to invest in a large project worth several billion yuan in a place with an uncertain future? Justin held my planning scheme and couldn't hide his excitement. He said, "General Manager Nina, to be honest, I inspected the Southern District a few days ago and had a vague idea in my mind. Your scheme coincides with what I think." After saying that, he extended his hand to me. Happy cooperation. I shook his hand in return. 12 The wind has quietly changed. But changing the municipal plan is a major event, and it will take several months just for the process. The process of changing the demolition order has not come down yet. I hired people to quietly spread some half-true and half-false internal news. Within 2 days, May called me and said that recently Harrison has been saying everywhere that their demolition compensation is about to be credited to the account. He has decided to invite his colleagues to the club to open champagne and celebrate all night. I asked her which day. May said it was tonight. I looked at the time. It's still in time. When I went to the company to talk about the merger and acquisition case, I only brought Secretary Doris with me. LVDA Group specializes in real estate and has strong planning ability. But if it has a powerful professional advertising planning company under its umbrella, it will definitely be even more powerful. My former employer is a good choice. Although the company is small, it has continuously produced 5 advertising creative works of industry-leading volume within a year. It is a rare new force in the advertising industry. As a result, the company has been suppressed by old enterprises and groups. This olive branch from LVDA is definitely the life-saving straw that the boss has been dreaming of. Sure enough, the merger and acquisition went very smoothly. The small company has a simple process and signed the agreement on the spot. I followed behind the secretary and didn't say a word throughout. My former boss had a good impression of me. As a result, he was even more polite to me and thanked me repeatedly for matchmaking. I remained non-committal, in order to share this good news with the company's employees. The former boss also held an after-merger notification meeting on the spot. The secretary, who is respected as Dominic, looked at me in fear. I smiled and motioned to her that it was okay and to continue the act. Dominic is young and promising. From now on, we will feel at ease following you. The former boss has been promoted to a group shareholder and can count money at home lying down in the future. He is grinning from ear to ear. Let's work hard together and strive to keep up with the pace of the group headquarters. I will appoint personnel here personally in the future. Do you have any objections, General Manager Kin? Of course not. Everything is up to you. In this peaceful atmosphere, Tiffany finally couldn't hold it in anymore. Wearing her 28.0 yuan Valentino high heels, she walked up to Secretary Doris and started complaining as soon as she opened her mouth. Dominic doesn't know. Nina was fired by our company. Secretary Doris looked at me in fear again. I continued to keep smiling and motioned to her that it was okay. And you are? Hello, Dominic. I am the leader of the first group of the planning department. Tiffany. I will also be a company shareholder in the near future. Oh? Secretary Doris looked at her with interest. As Tiffany's family's house is about to be demolished soon, she talked to me before. As soon as the demolition compensation arrives, she will immediately invest. You know, for our small company, if one person does it alone, the risk is still too great, the former boss explained on the side. Secretary Doris nodded. Team leader Tiffany is strong in workability and has family support. From now on, the planning department is entrusted to you. You report directly to me. Okay. Dominic. Tiffany looked completely natural, and looked at me provocatively. And Nina? General Manager Nina. Well, she must be dealt with in the end. Don't worry. Secretary Doris had a few drops of sweat on her forehead. Okay. That's it for today. Everyone go back to work. Tiffany hurriedly stopped him. Dominic. Our family is about to be demolished. We will open champagne to celebrate at Xianglan Club tonight. If Dominic is willing to honor us with his presence, it will be a great honor. Secretary Doris looked at me again. I nodded with a smile. 13. The minimum consumption at Xianglan Club is 50. 0 yuan. Almost everyone in the company went. And the consumption is estimated to be no less than 200. 0 yuan. The behavior of opening champagne in advance is absurd yet reasonable when it comes to Harrison and Tiffany. The two of them are not from high backgrounds and belong to the poor category among the locals. But the company colleagues have a natural envy for locals. As soon as they hear that they are locals, they look at them with shining eyes. Harrison is extremely concerned about face and is always on guard, fearing that others will know that he is poor. Later, with the confidence of demolition, that retaliatory compensation comes fiercely and quickly. Later, being praised as local tycoons one after another lifted him to the clouds. And he became more and more arrogant. I sat in the booth and watched the two of them raising their glasses contentedly in the crowd. Say yes. Say yes. After a while, there was a burst of cheering from the crowd. It turned out that Harrison was going to propose to Tiffany tonight. In the crowd, Tiffany took the bouquet and diamond ring and smiled shyly. Thank you all for coming to witness this precious moment between me and Harrison. Although we have already obtained the marriage certificate, Harrison insists on giving me a grand ceremony. She paused and looked at me. Here. I also want to thank another person. If it weren't for her help, then today, the one who becomes the protagonist and enjoys all this should be her. Thank you, Nina. Although you haven't contributed anything and even took away Harrison's property, we still thank you. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have found out that Harrison and I love each other so much. The glances shot at me from the crowd were colorful. Only Secretary Doris had a look of confusion. Harrison said arrogantly, I know you're jealous. But don't be jealous for now. There will be more scenes like this in the future. I gave a thumbs up and said, respect. Blessings. And lock it in. 14. After the merger and acquisition, the former company still maintains its original structure. Only one general manager position is added. And the management right and final decision-making power are transferred to the group. Tiffany became the manager of the company's planning department. This is what is called an overnight promotion. In May's words, she is now so proud that her tail is almost sticking up to the sky. Wearing famous brand clothes, carrying famous brand bags, and stepping on famous brand high heels. She strolls around the company every day and often tells others what to do. Company colleagues avoid her when they see her. I have occasionally experienced this. Because she runs to the headquarters too many times in various names. Once when I was a little late, for a meeting, she wouldn't let it go. Dominic. Our group prohibits being late. Some people can't be indulged. She will only get worse. Secretary Doris. It's okay. I asked her to get materials. Dominic. People who are late for company meetings have to be responsible for wiping the whiteboard and cleaning the conference room. Secretary Doris. It's okay. There are cleaning ants. Dominic. Enough. Are we still going to report on work? Tiffany reluctantly said. Then let's start. I look on coldly. If you aren't promoted a bit, how will you go crazy? 15. The projects handed over to Tiffany are all internal projects of the group and there are special people responsible. Her side is just going through the motions. I specifically told Secretary Doris that she must make Tiffany achieve results. The bigger the better. After several projects, Tiffany's planning department shone brightly, and everyone received a considerable bonus due to her outstanding performance. At the group commendation conference, Tiffany won the title of Outstanding Employee. Everyone admired her for having a successful career and love, and being a winner in life. Tiffany waved her hand and put her bonus into the department's activity funds, showing the boldness of a local tycoon. When the time was ripe, Secretary Doris called her to the headquarters. Manager Tiffany, I think from these projects, not only are you outstanding in planning ability, but you also have a good eye for product selection. Now the purchasing department of the group's branch company is lacking a person in charge. I intend to let you take over. What do you think? Tiffany was stunned by one surprise after another and felt like she was on cloud nine. If the planning department can do well, the purchasing department is even less of a problem. But if it's still just a manager position? Of course not. What I mean is to promote Manager Tiffany to the Minister of the Purchasing Department. Tiffany happily went. According to May, she also said that she welcomes anyone who is willing to follow her. As a result, Harrison followed. It seems that he wants to be the deputy minister. The smile on my lips grew bigger. Just as I expected. 16. The branch company is an empty shell company. I asked Secretary Doris to graft several projects into it. The materials to be purchased are all raw materials with low cost and extremely high profit margins. But this kind of material has a low usage rate and is only needed by a very few companies. Moreover, the production manufacturers have high qualification requirements and are in a state of monopoly in the industry. Few people can get the goods. As long as you make a little effort, it's not difficult to get rich. Secretary Doris, Minister Tiffany, the purchasing department is entirely in your hands. No matter what you do, I just want the raw materials to be in place on time. When Tiffany saw the profit margin on the contract, her eyes almost popped out and she nodded repeatedly. The cheapest purchase time for these raw materials is in February. During this period, Tiffany can use her position to purchase a large amount of raw materials. But the company's raw material purchase time and payment time are in March and April. For this kind of raw material, the company produces on demand and generally ships after receiving payment first. If you want to make a big profit, you must pay in advance yourself. At the end of February, Secretary Doris reported to me that the raw material company said that $4 million in payment had been received. $4 million? It seems that Tiffany and Harrison used extraordinary means. Obviously, Harrison can't get much in loans. It is estimated that Tiffany has also taken the plunge. I satisfied, gave Secretary Doris a raise. 17. What? The project is not going to be done? Tiffany screamed in the conference room. Secretary Doris, the group has decided internally that due to the focus on preparing the Southern District project this year, these projects have too much financial pressure and are temporarily shelved. Fortunately, the procurement plan has not been implemented yet. I will assign new projects to you. How could this be? Tiffany muttered to herself in a daze. Minister Tiffany, there are many projects in the group. Don't be impatient. I watched Tiffany walk out dejectedly in the next office. By the way, I confirmed with Secretary Doris. Have you made sure that returns are not allowed? Secretary Doris, yes. I poured myself a glass of red wine. The good shows are one after another. Let the show begin immediately. 18. The preparation project for the Southern District of the company is in full swing. The new demolition order will be issued soon. The group holds a mobilization meeting and wants to fully invest in the Southern District project with the strength of the company. The middle and senior management of the group gather in the Grand Hall. Secretary Doris makes a mobilization speech. Harrison and Tiffany also come. Their dress is as glamorous as ever. But even the most exquisite makeup can't cover Tiffany's dark circles. Harrison frowns. And there are still faintly unshaved beards. Seeing me sitting in the first row, Tiffany runs over and pulls me. Why are you sitting here? With so many people watching. Harrison can't afford to lose face and wants to pull Tiffany back. Don't pull me. This yellow-faced woman is always following Dominic. Who knows if she is setting me up? After hearing this, Harrison's face also darkened, and he looked at me scrutinizingly. Seeing Harrison taking her side, Tiffany was even more confident. I'll settle accounts with you later. Now you go sit at the back. I looked at the two of them and didn't move. The people around looked at us in shock, wanting to say something but stopping. Secretary Doris on the stage was so scared that she was about to run over here. I signaled her with my eyes to continue speaking. After a round of eye contact, Harrison spoke. Nina, you sit at the back. Let Tiffany sit here. I stood up under the onlooking eyes of the shareholders. Tiffany pushed me aside and sat down by herself. At this time, Secretary Doris finished speaking and began the next process. Next, let's invite Ms. Nina, the chairman of the group, to give a speech. Let's welcome her with applause. I gracefully stepped onto the stage and then turned back with a smile, only to see Harrison standing still on the spot, forgetting to return to his seat. Tiffany was staring at me in astonishment. After realizing it, she angrily pinched Harrison. What are you looking at? What's so great about being the chairman? In a few days, we will also be multimillionaires. I faced hundreds of middle and senior elites of LVDA with a smile. Hello everyone. I am Nina, the chairman of LVDA. Nice to meet you. There was warm applause from the audience. Harrison's pupils quivered greatly, seemingly unable to accept the fact in front of him. Tiffany tightly held his arm and stared at me angrily. I withdrew my gaze and continued. The municipal government has changed the demolition order this morning. The demolition plan originally scheduled for the old city area has been cancelled. The land acquisition for urban center construction has been changed to the southern district. Our group has taken the lead in signing a cooperation agreement with the government. The planning and construction of the southern district are fully responsible by our group. I hope that everyone in the group will work together to complete the task. There was thunderous applause on the stage again. Everyone knows that this project will create countless profits in the future. Harrion suddenly stood up straight, looking incredulous. He murmured, "Impossible. Impossible." Tiffany almost rushed onto the stage and shouted, "What are you talking nonsense? How could the demolition order be changed?" At this time, Harrison received a phone call and hurried out. He didn't come in dejectedly until I finished speaking. I sat back in my seat under the protection of Secretary Doris. Harrison questioned me in a hoarse voice on one side. "Nina, you knew it already, right?" I smiled and remained silent. "Why didn't you persuade me when you knew?" I kept smiling. "Do I have this obligation?" Ex-husband. Seeing that the situation was not good, Tiffany made a scene. She is a liar. How could she be the chairman of the group when she is so poor? We have all been deceived by her. I want to call the police. Secretary Doris scolded her with a dark face. If you want to call the police, go out and do it. Now it's group meeting time. If you delay important matters, I will sue you for creating trouble. The two still wanted to make a scene, but were carried out by the security guards. 20 Secretary Doris said that Tiffany and Harrison haven't come to work for 3 days. The former quasi-demolition's second generation is bird and with nearly 10 million in debt. They are blocked by loan sharks every day and dare not even go out. I saw Harrison and Tiffany again at the demolition signing ceremony in the Southern District. The two of them were holding banners and cursing the unscrupulous developers for deceiving the people, and also called the media to create a sensation. A large crowd quickly gathered around. Some people began to point and gossip. Colleagues from the company who were on the scene quickly gossiped. "Isn't this the head of the purchasing department of the branch company?" "Yes. I heard that she rose suddenly overnight. I don't know what kind of luck she had. Why is it like this? I heard that her husband is from that area in the old city. It was originally the urban center area planned for expansion. Later, the demolition order was changed, and they didn't get a penny. Not only that, I heard that she borrowed 2 million in loan sharks in her own name and her boyfriend's name respectively to buy raw materials, wanting to make a big profit. Now she has no money to pay back and is chased for debts every day. Wow. She really dares to borrow. According to the compound interest rate of loan sharks. I'm afraid she won't be able to pay it off in her lifetime. It's still because she's too greedy. Everyone knows that those few projects in the company are lucrative jobs. It's just a pity that her luck is too bad. If it weren't for the company's construction of the Southern District project, maybe she could really make a big profit. I say, it's better to be more down to earth. Prison food is not delicious. Seeing that I was listening with great interest, Secretary Doris asked, "Is President Nina satisfied?" I replied, "Well done." 19 When I was giving a speech on the stage, Harrison was barking wildly below. It's her. After I divorced her, she held a grudge and took away our family's demolition quota. I stood on the stage, holding a microphone. "Comrade, the demolition order is publicly and fairly announced by the government. As the chairman of LVDA, I can responsibly say that our company definitely has no power to interfere in government projects. But the demolition project in the Southern District is in the charge of our group. The demolition compensation is absolutely fair and just. We will not treat everyone unfairly. Please rest assured. The Southern District was originally a backward area. Now people there are pleasantly surprised to get a sum of demolition compensation." They all applauded and supported. Harrison rushed to the front with the media and wanted to come up and grab me, but was blocked by the security guards. "Everyone, don't believe her. She is my ex-wife. She is an orphan and has no money to compensate everyone at all. She is so scheming that she has caused me to be in a lot of debt. I will sue her." I pushed aside the security guards and faced the media to clarify one by one. "First of all, when we were not divorced yet, you let Tiffany live at home. I took care of everything for her. I kindly let you to be together. Now you blame me instead? Second, the debts you owe are all borrowed by yourself. You were so proud when you spent the money. Have you ever thought about the consequences now? Besides, not a penny of your money was spent on me. Third, whether your house is demolished or not is decided by the government. It has nothing to do with me. Fourth, you and Tiffany used your company positions to seek personal gain and broke the law. It's because you are too greedy. It has nothing to do with me either." I walked past him with a smile and then turned around and quietly said, "Were you curious why I am the chairman of LVDA? Because after divorcing you, my luck has changed. My aunt left me a huge inheritance. I am now a billionaire." After saying that, I didn't pay any attention to his hysterical shouts anymore and walked away lightly. 20 After the construction work in the Southern District really got underway, I didn't have much energy to pay attention to Harrison and Tiffany anymore. According to May, Harrison and Tiffany were driven out of the company. It has to be said that Justin is really a good official who is dedicated to the people. The demolition in the urban area is difficult to satisfy everyone. He personally visits every household. The compensation is also implemented brick by brick. Build an academy in the city center? Justin looked at me in disbelief. That's right. Mayor Justin. City A is a 1,000-year-old ancient city. There are many historical and cultural celebrities and several top scholars. This is our city's business card. We have to make good use of it. But building an academy in this place where every inch of land is worth its weight in gold is really a waste. We should still do business as usual, but with the academy as the core, and even by using the latest technological elements, we can create a new type of academy with online and offline linkage. Online reading check-ins can be used as shopping points in offline shopping malls. Maybe it can start a wave of national reading. It sounds good, but I'm afraid it will be difficult to implement. Mayor Justin began to soften a bit. Hearing him say so, I immediately made a decision. Our group can do it. The government has no money to invest. Our group has it. On the day of the foundation laying of the academy building in the city center, I personally arrived at the scene. Reporters from the TV station crowded in front of me and all wanted to interview the beautiful boss. I caught a glimpse of a scavenger outside the field whose back was very familiar. When leaving, I opened the window and took a look outside. Harrison was walking limping lie with a large bag of bottles and cans in a numb manner. The moment he saw my face, he was so shocked that the bag fell to the ground. I closed the window and focused on looking ahead. I heard Mayor Justin say, "Does this person know General Manager Nina? Why is he chasing after?" I shook my head with a smile. I don't know. It's a pity that he started scavenging at such a young age. Secretary Doris suddenly summoned up courage and interrupted Mayor Justin's words. It's not a pity at all. He borrowed usurious loans and his legs were broken. His girlfriend was sold to Myanmar by the usurer. Alas. It's time to crack down on these evil forces. After listening, Mayor Justin fell into deep thought. The direction seems a bit strange. But cracking down on evil forces is the aspiration of every common people. I hope Mayor Justin will hold on until the end. The end.